Hey guys, how's it going? Preparing here. So in the Hearthstone department, there's been some pretty big news. Nothing game changing or anything like that, but some pretty hilarious stuff coming from the recent matchup that you guys saw, the 2P tournament, the one that I casted just a few days ago. And before I get into exactly what's going down, I want to tell you guys a few of the specifications. So to begin, it was the qualified European players versus the qualified Chinese players. The European side won. It was 4-0, and the match results were, I believe, 3-1, 3-1, 3-0, 3-1, and one of those losses was the result of a disconnect during a game that was clearly in favor of the player that ended up losing the match because of disconnect, and of course, all of this came into the European side of things. And, mostly objective feedback on those matches because, hey, I casted them. There were misplays on both sides, but there were more misplays, I think, quite clearly on the Chinese side. And, with all Hearthstone tournaments that I've seen, that I've cast, there have been misplays. It's very, very difficult to play perfectly in Hearthstone. That's why, it is kind of entertaining to watch. It is kind of like an esport because it's not easy to play perfectly. But on the other hand, perfect play doesn't guarantee wins, and perfect play often only gives you a slight edge over the person who makes a few mistakes. And another edge comes from having a better deck. So which side had the better decks? In my opinion, the Europeans had the better decks. They seem to be a little bit more polished. I saw some really questionable cards in the Chinese decks, like Imp Master in a mid-range Hunter deck. Stuff like that just makes absolutely no sense to me, but hey, maybe it's above me, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Chinese guys actually had as good or better decks as the European players, even though they got absolutely crushed. So, all that aside, the results are pretty shocking, and it does have, in my opinion, a large luck element coming through. On which end it came through, whether it was the matchups, whether it was the cards being drawn, whether it was this and that, I don't know exactly. But in Hearthstone, if you're an overwhelming, if you're overwhelmingly, likely to win, you're looking at maybe 65, maybe 70% chance to win. Nothing like what we saw in the results of the last tournament. And as a result, the distributive Hearthstone in China, I believe it's called NetEase. And Hearthstone's pretty big in China, by the way, from what I hear. They were furious at the result. Despite all the randomness and all that, they thought their players sucked from what I'm hearing. They want to give out an offer in order to bring out the best Hearthstone players in China. They want them to be on another level. They want to be, the source of the best Hearthstone players in the world. And as a result, the CEO, his name is Ding Lei, he has proposed an offer for the next time the Chinese players face off against a foreigner in one of these tournaments. He only has to win his match against the foreigner. The Chinese team doesn't even have to win, but if you win your set against the foreigner, he will personally buy you a Ferrari. And, he does. I will say the quote here. He, the CEO, Ding Lei, also plans to offer a tasty reward to those players if China wins the next showdown, a brand new Ferrari for anyone who can beat their opponent in their match, even if the China team as a whole does not win. And I don't know if something is lost in translation, but all in all, this is a pretty hilarious offer, and will it be effective? I think so. You know what? If you up the stakes, people play better because more people try to play and more people take it seriously. So I'm pretty interested to see what actually comes from this push. And from the other end of things, I've learned from the article, which I'll give you guys a link to in the description, that this company, NetEase, has gone back on some of its ridiculous offers that it has in the past, that has given out in the past. And, reading this, being the min-maxer that I am, the way I would do it is, well, it doesn't specifically say that he's offering a Ferrari vehicle, a car, an automobile as a reward. So, if I was the CEO and I wanted to keep my monies, and being a CEO, you'd probably want to keep your monies, because that's probably why you took up that type of job. If a Chinese player happens to win his match against a foreigner, I would buy him a nice little Hot Wheels Ferrari. I'd get him a good kind too. I wouldn't get him a cheap one, you know, the new stuff, of course. You'd have to get him a new Ferrari as specified by the offer. So I'm really curious what comes of this. I'll update you guys when it does, and we'll see what effect it has in the Chinese Hearthstone, because, well, I've casted the last two 2P tournaments, and I have to say that I thought the Chinese guys were much more innovative and much more fierce in the first one. So we'll have to see what comes out of it. And for now, lots of lulls. Hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.